Right now, somewhere close to you, there's an aloe vera the size of a small bush. Thick, blue-green arms standing straight up like a chandelier. And the person who owns it does almost nothing to it. Waters it maybe once a month, if that. Never repotted it, never fed it, never looked up a single thing about it, and it just keeps getting bigger. Meanwhile, yours, the one you actually take care of, went thin, then flat. Then one day you touched the base and it was soft and brown and mushy, and the whole thing folded in on itself. No warning, no drama, it just gave up. Here's the truth the garden center will never tell you: aloe vera isn't hard to grow. It's misunderstood. A giant aloe isn't the reward for more care, it's the reward for the right kind of neglect, plus a handful of rules almost nobody gets told. Stop breaking those rules, and this plant becomes nearly impossible to kill, and it gets huge. So here are 7 secrets that turn a sad little windowsill aloe into a monster. Not the recycled tips you've heard 100 times, the real ones. And stick around for secret number 5 especially, because that's the one that explains why most aloe vera rot and die in their first year, and how to bring one back from the dead after you've already given up and reached for the trash. Let's get into it. Number 1. Throw out the gravel. Let me start with the one that breaks a rule almost everyone believes. You've heard it your whole life. Drop a layer of gravel or rocks or broken pottery in the bottom of the pot to help drainage. It sounds obvious. It's also dead wrong, and it's quietly rotting your aloe from the bottom up. Here's the actual physics. Water won't cross from fine soil down into a coarse gravel layer until the soil above it is completely soaked. So, instead of draining away, the water stacks up right in the root zone and just sits there. Gardeners call it a perched water table, and standing water around aloe roots is the single most common way this plant dies. So here's the fix. No gravel, no rocks, one open drainage hole, and the same gritty mix all the way down a 1:1:1 blend of cocoa coir, coarse sand, and pumice or perlite. One warning: use coarse horticultural sand, never fine play sand. The fine stuff packs into concrete and seals the pot shut. And hang on to that word rot. It's the number 1 killer of this plant, and we are coming back to it. Because here's the preview almost nobody knows: a rotted aloe is almost never a dead aloe. Remember that. It's the whole point of secret number 5. Number 2, you might be growing the wrong plant. This one stops people cold. There are 2 completely different plants sold as aloe vera, sitting side by side on the shelf, constantly mislabeled, and only one of them can ever become a giant. The real one is Aloe Vera barbadensis Miller. This is the giant. It grows into a broad, upright rosette, 1 to 2 feet tall, with thick, fleshy, gray-green leaves under a dusty, waxy coating. Its babies have little white spots, but here's the tell. Those spots fade and vanish as the plant matures. When it blooms, the flowers come up bright yellow. The imposter is a variety called chinensis. It tops out around 1.5 feet, stays narrow and bright green, and keeps its white spots for life. It grows flat and stacked instead of upright, and it pumps out endless baby plants, pouring all its energy into cloning itself instead of getting bigger. It is genetically incapable of becoming the plant you're picturing. Its flowers come in salmon pink, not yellow. So, before you blame yourself for an aloe that never got big, check what you actually have. Watch the spots. The giant loses them with age. The imposter keeps them forever. And as a bonus, the true barbadensis is the edible medicinal one once you rinse off the bitter outer layer. The imposter is skincare only. Eat it and your stomach will let you know. Number 3. Water it like the desert does. Aloe is built for drought. It runs a special night shift metabolism and banks its own water supply inside those fat leaves, which is exactly why it survives people who forget it exists. So the mistake nearly everyone makes is treating it like a houseplant. Small sips, often. That only ever wets the top inch of soil, which trains the plant to grow weak, shallow roots that panic the second you skip a watering. Do the opposite. It's called soak and dry. When you water, drench it, soak the whole pot until water pours out the bottom. Then walk away and leave it completely alone until the soil is bone dry all the way through. That deep soak sends the roots diving downward after the water, and you end up with a deep, powerful root system that can ride out anything. How do you know when it's time? Stop watering on a schedule and read the plant. Push a finger or a chopstick 2 or 3 inches in bone dry means go. Pinch a leaf firm and full means wait. A soft give means thirsty. A happy aloe leaf is plump and curved outward. When it goes flat, puckered, or curls inward, it's living off its reserves and asking for a drink. And this is the part the title promised you. When you forget about this plant for 3 weeks in July, and you will, it's fine. It's sitting on a full tank. In fact, that exact rhythm, soak it deep, then ignore it for a long stretch, isn't just survival, it's the secret to growing it big. Just starving it of water keeps it alive, but shrinks it. The deep soak is what makes it grow. One rule: always water at the base, never over the top. Water trapped in the center crown is an open door to rot. And let it warm to room temperature. First, cold water shocks the roots. Number 4, the smaller pot makes the bigger plant. This one feels insane, because every instinct says a giant plant needs a giant pot. With aloe, the exact opposite is true. Aloe roots are shallow. They spread out sideways, not down. So a tall, deep pot just leaves a fat column of soggy, unused soil sitting under the roots, and you already know what standing water does down there. What you want is wide and shallow. And the material matters. Unglazed terracotta is porous, so it actually breathes and lets moisture wick out through the sides, and it's heavy enough to keep a top-heavy giant from tipping over. Now the counterintuitive part: keep the roots snug. They should fill only about half the pot. When the roots are a little crowded, the plant quits spending energy expanding underground and pours it into leaves instead, which is exactly what you want. And here's the secret that takes the fear out of the whole thing. People panic about repotting, convinced they have to keep moving it up to bigger and bigger homes. So here's your safety net. When in doubt, don't repot. A mature aloe only needs a new pot every 4 or 5 years, or when roots start escaping the drainage hole. Repotting too eagerly into a big pot is one of the fastest ways to rot it. And when you finally do repot, set the plant a little high root ball just above the rim, then don't water it for 2 full weeks, so any roots you bruised in the move can heal over instead of rotting. Number 5, the resurrection. This is the one I told you to wait for. This is the secret that separates the people who give up on aloe forever from the ones who keep a single plant alive for decades. Picture it. Your aloe is doing great. Then the base goes brown and soft. The leaves turn translucent and start to flop. The whole plant slumps over, mushy, dramatic, dead-looking. That's rot, too much water, or that gravel layer from Secret One, and it looks 100% finished. So here's what almost everyone does. They assume it's gone, dump it in the trash, and tell everyone aloe is impossible to keep alive. Here's the secret. That plant is almost certainly not dead. An aloe is about 95% water, and it stores its entire life, all its energy, all its moisture up in its leaves and stem. The rot eats the roots and the base, but the top of the plant is a sealed survival vault, completely independent of the part that's dying. So you do the thing that feels insane. You pull the whole plant out of the pot, take a clean, sterilized knife, and cut away every trace of brown and mush. Keep cutting until you hit firm, white, healthy tissue. Yes, you might be cutting off most of the plant. Cut anyway. Then you wait. Set that healthy top in a dry, shaded spot and leave it alone for several days, up to a week, until the cut dries out and hardens into a callus. Then either lay it on fresh, dry, gritty mix, or suspend the stem just above a glass of clean water. Change it once a week, and it grows a brand new root system from scratch. Within weeks, you've got a living, rooting plant again, grown from something you were 1 second away from throwing out. The grower who panics loses the plant. The grower who cuts it back and waits gets an aloe for the next 30 years. Number 6, feed it muscle, not fluff. Most people either never feed their aloe at all, or they grab whatever generic plant food is in the shed and dump some on. Here's the trap. Almost all generic plant food is loaded with nitrogen. And nitrogen on a succulent is a disaster. It forces fast, watery growth, thin, weak leaf walls that can't hold the gel inside, so the leaves go floppy, bend, and snap under their own weight. You don't want fast, you want dense, heavy, and strong. That means low nitrogen, high potassium, and phosphorus. Phosphorus builds the roots. Potassium thickens the cell walls and toughens the plant against drought. Reach for something like a 2-4-8 formula, watered down to half or even quarter strength, and only ever feed soil you watered about an hour earlier. Fertilizer on bone-dry roots burns them and crisps the leaf tips brown. One nuance: a young or freshly repotted plant can take a high phosphorus feed to kickstart roots, but heavily diluted and used rarely. Or skip the bottle entirely and go homemade. Dried, ground eggshells deliver calcium to build strong walls. Dried banana peel adds potassium. A little dried coffee grounds gives a slow trickle of nitrogen. Work a spoonful into the top of the soil in spring and again in midsummer. That's structural muscle, the thick, heavy, architectural leaves that make people stop and ask what on earth you're growing. Number 7, cut the children loose. Here's why so many aloes never get giant, even when everything else is right. They have babies, little pups, sprouting around the base. They look cute, so people leave them. But every one of those pups is wired into the parent underground, drinking its water, its food, and its energy through connecting stems. Every pup you let stay is fuel that isn't going into your main plant. So, if you want a giant, you have to be a little ruthless. Once the pups hit 3 or 4 inches big enough to survive on their own, cut them free with a clean knife, taking as much of their own root as you can, and let both the parent and the babies callus over for a day or two before replanting. The pups go straight into that same gritty mix from secret one-free plants. But the real prize is the parent. With the children gone, all that energy floods back to one place, the center of the rosette, and that's exactly where giant leaves come from. And this is the thread that ties the whole video together. Everything you've done, the gritty no-gravel soil, the deep soak, the snug pot, the right food, cutting the pups loose, it's all the same single move. You're stopping the plant from leaking energy and water and letting it bank reserves instead. A plant with deep reserves is a plant that survives anything. Forget to water it, leave town for a month, knock it off the windowsill, it's got a full tank and those leaves to ride it out. You're not just growing a bigger aloe. You're building one that's almost impossible to kill. So, let's bring it all together. Because these 7 secrets aren't really 7 separate tips, they're one strategy. Ditch the gravel so it never sits wet. Make sure you've got the giant variety in the first place. Soak it deep, then leave it alone. Keep it snug in a wide, shallow terracotta pot. Never throw out a rotted one, cut it back and let it come back. Feed it for strength, not speed. And cut the pups loose so every drop of energy goes to the center. Do those 7 things, and you don't just get an aloe that survives, you get the monster on the windowsill that makes everyone assume you must be some kind of expert. If this changed how you see this plant, do me one favor, hit that subscribe button, because this channel is built for exactly this kind of plant. The ones everyone calls difficult, that are really just misunderstood. We post a deep dive guide like this every single week, and the next one is going to surprise you. And down in the comments, tell me one thing. Have you ever had an aloe rot on you and thrown it out before you knew you could bring it back? Or do you have one of those giant monster plants that just won't quit? I read every single comment, and the stories you share end up shaping the videos I make next. Now go check your aloe, and whatever you do, keep the gravel out of the bottom of that pot. I'll see you in the next one.